Okay. All right. We're starting up. These are the. Okay, I'm gonna start this off. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Gianaris Mamdani. I'm the Assembly member for the 36th District, and we are here today together as the Fix the MTA Coalition to celebrate the accomplishments of this coalition and this campaign. And there is no one better to start us off than Deputy Majority Leader Senator Mike Gianaris.
Thank you. And let's hear it for Zoran Mamdani. He really has led the way on this issue and got it so far that we actually got an accomplishment this significant in the first year of the effort is quite something. Zoran, thank you, and thank you for bringing us together today. But let's talk about what happened. This budget had ups and downs, but as it relates to the MTA, it was ups and ups. We got 5 free bus routes throughout the city of New York, which is the first step in revolutionizing the way we think about mass transit in this city. It is public transit. It's called that for a reason, because it's there to serve the public. And like so many services throughout the city, we should get to the point where we're not putting the burden of paying for it on the hardworking people of the city who can least afford it. 5 free bus routes will start the process of evaluating and expanding to make public transit as affordable as possible for people in this very unaffordable city. So we're very happy with that. We increased service throughout the system too, which was a priority for so many advocates who you're going to hear from today as well. And we filled the MTA's budget hole so that we can start getting it back on its feet after the ridership drops of the pandemic era. But the reason why the bus service is so important, I'm particularly excited about that, is because we are struggling to get people back into the system. And we know from other cities that have tried this that people will start riding more when it's free. It's common sense, but it's true. You get more people on the buses become safer. People feel more confident in getting back in the system. And we can then again expand it to more affordable buses, more affordable subways as well. And it really is a step that hopefully will start showing the nation that this is the way we should start thinking about transit, like a public service, like we think about our public schools and so many other things that we provide for people in this city, and paid for by the people who can afford it, not by the people who can afford it the least. So thank you to all the advocates in the coalition that were here that made this possible. It is just the beginning, but it's a great first step, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you so much to Senator Mike Gianaris. And he mentioned the fight for increased service. And there's no one better to speak about that, the long journey and the victories of this budget, than Danny Perlstein from the Riders Alliance.
All right, Danny.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember, and thank you, Senator. We could not have better friends in the legislature than the folks you see up here. This is everybody's victory. This is a victory for transit riders who are riding, every day, millions of people, and it's a victory for transit riders who go up to Albany and represent us in the legislature, and a victory for dedicated public servants who put everything together to make this happen in what has been a very difficult budget year, a protracted budget year. We will soon have more frequent subway service. I think looking back 3 years through the pandemic, it's impossible to imagine that happening, right? It's impossible to imagine a situation in which we're growing transit rather than fighting for its very survival. We will have faster buses, right? The one bizarre bright spot of March and April 2020 was the buses moved around the city like lightning when all the cars were off the street, right? We're not going to be back there, but we will have faster and reliable bus service because of the legislation that was done part of this budget. And, I think at the bitter end, I was told, it might not happen, that there are people worried about, not being able to double park. The double parking is a way of life. But the folks up here got it done, which is really incredible, and put bus riders' interests ahead of, other people's privilege of double parking, for the first time in several decades. So this is truly a people's budget. It's an extraordinary achievement, and I am so grateful on behalf of the Riders Alliance and everybody to say thank you to the legislators who put it all together.
Woo!
All right, Danny.
And when we think about, it was many, many legislators who came together to fight for this vision. And we have amongst us one of the leaders of that fight in the chair of the Caucus, one of the most celebrated institutions within the Assembly and the Senate. Please welcome all the way from Long Island, Strong Island, Assemblywoman Mikhail Salaj.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. It's true, I am from Long Island, but you're a part of Long Island too. So I just really appreciate the opportunity to represent the caucus in this matter, because when we talk about marginalized communities, communities of color, the the public transportation system here in New York City really moves them to and from places where they need to go. When we talk about the COVID pandemic, there were many essential workers who use our public transportation system to get to where they need to go. And so, especially from a person who lives from Long Island, I prefer, and many people prefer, to use MTA to get to the city, whether it's for work and play. And so this initiative that we push forward in the budget is really going to encourage people to use public transportation and get back to using the MTA subway and buses. And for someone who's a lover of buses, you know, the buses are the chariot of the people. The people use the bus, and it's so important that we give access to them. And so having these free bus routes are so important to our communities, but we need to expand it. So this is a great pilot, but know that we're coming back for more, right?
Yes.
And so, again, thank you to my colleagues, the advocates, to all the riders. This is a great win, and this is a victory that we're celebrating. Thank you.
Woo! Chariot of the people. That is the line of the day. You know, speaking of a chariot of the people, speaking of the square that we are in right now, we are currently in Senator Kristen Gonzalez's district, and I would like to invite her up to speak about all of the work that she did as part of this coalition.
Hi everyone, it's so good to be here. My name is Kristen Gonzalez, and yes, this is Senate District 59, which is the wonderful People's Republic of Astoria, but also a 3-borough district, which means selfishly, I am very excited about this because I spend a lot of time on the train and a lot of time on buses getting around 3 boroughs and see firsthand just how hard it is. And as a lifelong strap hanger, as a lifelong New Yorker, as, you know, the daughter of a working class household, just as my colleague said, Assemblymember Slodges, it is the chariot of the people, and the people organized to make this happen. And so this win is really indicative not only of our priorities, both in the state legislature, but also our priorities as New Yorkers and the power that we wield when we collectively organize inside and outside the legislature to win real things for working people. So I feel so honored to stand with my colleagues today. I feel so grateful for the leadership of Senator Gianaris for carrying this bill, and Assembly members Zoran Mamdani. And as you also heard, we'll keep fighting because it's hard to live in the city. It is expensive to live in the city. We deserve free buses. We deserve a freeze on fares. And so this is only the beginning as we continue to fight for those things. So thank you all so much for being here.
Woo! So, you know, we have heard from Queens, we have heard from Long Island. It's now time we hear from the Boogie Down and one of the loudest champions of the free bus pilot, Amanda Septimo, Assemblywoman.
So it is raining in New York today, but the sun is shining on the transit justice movement. We are all standing here celebrating what it means to have these significant advances in the Fix the MTA agenda this year in the budget. We know that these investments are going to change people's lives for the better. But most importantly, this year, New York State has acknowledged that investing in the MTA is as critical as investing in every other part of our budget, because investing in the MTA is investing in the people of New York. It is an investment in economic justice, an investment in transit justice. And that is why we are here to say, in every part of this state where we see inequity, imbalance, and injustice, we are going to step up and push for our communities to get everything they deserve. In this case, it is faster buses. It is a free bus pilot that will underscore, prediction, spoiler alert, underscore how important it is for people to move freely across our city. It means people having more time to spend at home with their families, less time with delays, less time having to think about how to get from A to B, more time to spend on being productive members of New York City. And so I am so proud to be part of this effort. I am equally proud to see free buses happening in this pilot. And I really want to give incredible thanks to my colleague, Assemblymember Mamdani, without whom none of this would be possible. I look forward to the future investments we will make in our MTA system, but today we're celebrating. Thank you.
Woo! And you know, when we think about this fight for free buses, it was a fight that we launched in December It's a fight that has taken us through hearings, through newspaper articles, and there's been one man who's been consistent in all of those places. That is Senator John Liu. Whether he's asking Jano Lieber about free buses or he's telling the New York Times about the necessity of it, this has been a champion of this movement. Please.
Listen, it's been a great group effort, but with any group effort, you need one leader, and Zoran Mamdani has been it. So, Zoran, hats off to you. And you know, it doesn't suck to have the deputy majority leader of the Senate with you either. I think a lot's been said already. It's just, you know, I've lodged my share of complaints against the MTA over the, I hate to say it, decades. And usually it's their fault. But, you know, these last few years, it's been the pandemic. There's been many factors beyond the control of the MTA management. And so, you know, we're always glad to work with Local 100 and the workers in the Senate and the Assembly. In this year's budget, we've put in measures to stabilize the finances of the MTA going forward. And the hope is that they will stave off fare hikes for another couple of years beyond the current schedule. But today we're here not only to celebrate the stabilization of their finances, the additional revenues that they will get through the state budget, but also the faster service all across subways as well as buses, and of course, free buses. Woo! Free buses. It's 2023. There's no question in my mind that buses in New York City will be free, totally free at some point. Our job is to get that point closer to us as quickly as possible. And this pilot program is a huge step forward. And it's about free buses. It's not just about the cost. As Mike said, it's about safety. It's about reliability. It's about the timeliness of the buses. And it's overall recognizing that people need public transit to get to and from work and all the other daily life activities that they undertake. So free buses, that's the goal. And we get a big step of the way there. And I'll just note that, I mean, I'm joined by a lot of my colleagues in Queens. For now, just for now, we get one line in Queens. And if the MTA does it randomly, Flushing has the highest concentration, by far the largest number of lines, bus lines in Queens. So just statistically speaking, if they do a random selection, it's going to be a Flushing line. Sorry, guys. Anyway, thank you very much. This has been a great effort.
So John mentioned TWU, and I am so glad because our fight was launched in December, but JP Patafio, a member of TWU Local 100, has been fighting for free buses for years. He was one of the first people we called when we knew that this campaign was going to be built around this pledge. And so I'm so happy that he was there on the first day, and that he's here today, and that he will be here with us through this pilot program and all that we use it to build on. JP Patafio, please.
Well, greetings from Local 100. This is a great day. I've been doing this quite a while, and I haven't seen transit advocates like this before, and this budget was a great success. I mean, free bus service really helps New York City's working class, and that's really important. And what I want to say is New York City's working class and New York City's labor movement got to be one. And I'm here to show that I'm going to make sure that TW Local 100 gets behind this effort, because the people that we drive also are our family members. The working class deserves this, and the unions are going to be there making sure that the transit service gets done well, gets done professionally, and is going to be fighting with you all the way so that we have the best transit system, a free transit system for the New Yorkers that deserve it. And I'm very happy about this, and I look forward to making sure this pilot gets 100%, and next time around, we expand it.
That's right. Here we
All right,
go.
thank you.
Here we go. Speaking of expansion, it is time for us to go from Queens to Manhattan and hear from Assemblyman Alex Boris, please.
I like the expansion bit. When we start choosing which routes happen, you know, I think the only two Manhattan reps, it's got to be one that goes through us. So that's, but I'm Alex Boris. I'm so glad to be here. The sign really does say it all. A free bus is a safer bus. It's a faster bus. It's a more popular bus. It's better for the environment. We'll have more people riding it. It's better for people that take a job across town. It's better for people that need to visit their families. How do we know this? Because lots of other cities have done it. And so we know that this program works. And people say New York City is unique, and it is. It's bigger, it's better, it's all of those things. And so how great that we have a pilot going where we're going to get to take these learnings, we're going to get to see what works, we're going to see what doesn't, and then we're going to come back with improvements that serve the entire city and all of the bus routes. So I'm so proud to be here. I'm so proud of all the advocates that have been fighting for it, for the sponsors in the Senate and the Assembly, Senator Gianaris and Assemblymember Mamdani. And this is just the start. Let's keep going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, Alex was with us when we made our video explaining why, and he represented Manhattan then, he's representing Manhattan now. And, you know, I think it's critically important when we talk about the work that has been done in this fight. We talk about how Riders Alliance has been fighting for so much of this. And in addition to Riders Alliance, we also have Lisa Daglian with us here today. And Lisa Daglian heads the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, is really the brain behind one of the critical pieces of our legislation, as well as the larger fight for an MTA that is accountable, that is transparent, that is reliable. PCAC has been with us since the beginning of this campaign. Lisa, thank you so much, please.
Thank you. I would argue that you're the brain behind the legislation, but thank you. Transit makes our region go around, and riders couldn't get where they need to go without transit. But the MTA was broke, literally, and what you have done is fix the MTA. You have fixed the MTA by funding the MTA, by making sure that we'll be able to get where we need to go for years and years to come. We couldn't have done this without you and 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 you, and thank you, Governor Hochul, and thanks to all of your colleagues for really putting riders first in this budget, and for from Montauk to Wassaic and everybody in the boroughs who count maybe 5 times as much. No, I didn't say that. But for really all of the hard work that you've done and continue to do, particularly as we need to finish a couple more bills and to bring the rest of it home. But thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that we have here with us Assemblymember Khalil Musa Anderson, who has been an early supporter of this, and it shows that we have support from the west of Queens all the way to the east. So please, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you so much. Let's give another round of applause to Assemblymember Mamdani. Western Queens, I'm here. We made the trek. I'm so glad that we are on the other side of this fight. This was a really, really tough budget in many aspects, but the bright spot of the budget is that we have a real opportunity now to fix the MTA, but also move it forward. 1 bus per borough is going to it's a big deal. We got to get more, and that's what we're going to go back and try to do next legislative session, because we have to do more for each part of the boroughs. But also, when we're thinking about transit equity, it took a while to get me from east to west, and we're just in the same borough. It might have taken me longer to get here than Alex, who's in the city. So that's important, that when we have transit equity and we're investing in our most important public good, which is public transportation, that we do so. So we're really, really grateful for that, but we're also grateful for the enhanced subway service that we're getting out of this budget, which is going to help move New Yorkers across the city quicker. And so we've got a lot of work to do to make sure that this stays in the budget, and this stays rather going forward. And I'm looking forward to partnering with my colleague here, who did all of what he could and more to make this happen. From the cool videos to the posters to the rallies, all of this helped unite New Yorkers from across the spectrum to address this issue of transportation. So thank you, Mamdani. I had to throw it in there and say that. So let's continue to fight.
I got one of these in my office. You can have another one. Abundance, abundance. Well, we may be joined shortly by another member or two, but I want to take a moment to just speak and, first of all, thank every single person that's here. This has been a collective fight that we have launched that led to more than 4,000 New Yorkers canvassing at subway stations and bus stops, rallying from Astoria all the way to Albany, and making sure that their representatives knew that this is what they needed to see in this year's budget. And it is quite astonishing to see the impact that we are going to have on working class New Yorkers' lives. We have created a service that will be experienced by millions of New Yorkers. Millions of New Yorkers. We'll be seeing 5 free bus routes across this city, and we have said that it must be an equitable program. And we are going to see each borough receive a route, so that we do not have the continuation of this belief founded in reality that the outer boroughs are being left behind. We are saying Staten Island is just as important as Manhattan. It's just as important as the Bronx, as Brooklyn, as Queens. And we are going to be bringing minutes back to New Yorkers' lives. 2 minutes, cutting 2 minutes from the wait time, bringing down 10-minute trips to 8-minute waits. That may not sound like much in isolation, but when you hear from your constituents day after day about how if they could have saved those 2 minutes here, those 2 minutes there, it adds up over a lifetime. And as we know in New York City, time is money. And what we have done with this program, thanks to the leadership of the Riders Alliance of fighting for this for years and being a part of this coalition, is we are going to make our trains come faster, more reliably. We are doing the same thing with buses. And it is hard for me as a Muslim to say this, but I'm against double parking, right? Every Friday prayers, we have cars parked up and down by the mosque. But we need our buses to move faster, to be more reliable. And we have seen that when ABLE has been used, the authorization of bus lane expansion, we are looking at speeds increasing up to 24%. 24%. And we know that the neediest New Yorkers use buses even more than trains. And what we have done together as a coalition is we've delivered all of these things, things which have typically been framed as oppositional, that either you care about service or you care about free transit. Either you care about the fiscal implications or you talk about the moral urgency. We have done all of those things, and we've done it together, and we've shown that our vision, when accomplished in one go, can bring the relief that every single New Yorker deserves, no matter where they live, no matter where they're from, no matter what mode of transit. And I want to thank everyone here, because what we've done is not just for New York City, not just for New York State. The MTA accounts for 40% of public transit trips across the entire country. 40%. In what we have done in this budget, we are laying out a map for what public transit should look like across this country. And we have done it together, we have done it against the odds, and we are only just beginning our journey. Because we know that our journey will only end when we have an MTA that is excellent, an MTA that is safe, an MTA that is universally accessible. And in 1 year, we have launched ourselves towards it. And I am so, so excited. I really want to shout out, I said it very briefly, but I want to spend a little more time to speak about Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris. Because please ask you to applaud, because he took a chance on this legislation. When I met him in the back of Queen's Room in fall of last year, and I asked him, how would you feel about introducing a package that's multi-billion dollars in terms of cost? We went through each and every item, and he had every occasion by which to say, this is a little too ambitious. This is a little too broad of an imagination that's required here. But instead, what he said, as soon as I mentioned free buses, he said this is the package he wanted to be a part of. And as much organizing as I could do, and as much as I could text every single member and craft together a script for a video and make the posters and the flyers and the canvases, we could not have gotten to the finish line without having a partner in the Senate like Mike Gianaris. Someone who has vision, who has authority, and so often the higher you rise in power, the more constricted your imagination becomes. And Mike has shown what Astoria knows, which is that we need people at the top of our state who understand that a broad imagination is not only necessary, it is urgent in this moment. Because too often we have leaders who are willing to put the needs of working class New Yorkers to the side as they cater to the wealthiest. And what we have done in this moment is we have reduced the fare hike. We have taken away, chipped away at the burden put on the working class New Yorker, and we have said no. Instead, this is going to come from the corporations that should pay this amount of money. And we have said that in the years to come, we are going to expand this economic model. We are going to ensure that the MTA becomes the envy of the entire world. And so thank you all to each and every one of these legislators, these advocates, these organizers who have spent countless hours to make this a reality. I am so thankful, and I know that so many New Yorkers will feel this impact over the next 18 months as all of this is rolled out. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will ask if we can take one celebratory photo together before we finish this press conference. So if everyone can please come up.
We all jumped, and you didn't mention how shocked you were that I said yes.
Yes, I was quite shocked.
I think he thought he was going to take a couple of meetings. He was like, really?
Okay. All right, is everybody, Cormac, do you have everyone in the frame?
All right, say something that rhymes with cheese, right? What's the word that makes you smile?
Free buses.
Free buses. All right,
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't want to hit a button and delete it. I think that's